Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to Pillow Talk with Dr. Boyce and Dr. Alicia Watkins. My name is Dr. Boyce Watkins, and I'm here with my lovely wife, Dr. Alicia Watkins. How you doing today, babe?
I'm pretty good. How are you tonight?
Doing good, doing good. We just watched about what 2.5 episodes or 3 episodes of the Colin Kaepernick documentary. I think it's Colin Kaepernick in black and white or something like that.
Yes.
Yeah. So we were watching this thing about Colin Kaepernick, and we thought it would be kind of fun to for people to hear from two nerdy black professors, in terms of what we were seeing in this documentary. And I think it's also interesting because our educational backgrounds are different, right? Like you are in social work and I'm in finance, so we sometimes see things different. And also, I'm a man, you're a woman, which is quite evident as we lay here in the bed together.
Yeah, it is.
Yes, it
So,
is.
so what struck out with you? Anything in
Um,
particular? Oh, look who's in here.
Yeah, we got a lot of people. Sherwin and
Yeah.
Adrena and Vince and Brock. Brock said that shit was funny as hell.
What
I
was
grew up in
funny?
that environment. He said the Colin Kaepernick thing.
Oh, okay. What was funny about the Colin Kaepernick?
It was well done.
Yeah, it was well done.
Yeah, like
I
I
like.
feel like Cap. I mean, it's interesting to watch. That's what I thought. What'd you think?
Yeah, I like watching docu series. So it's like he's narrating, but he's also like sitting there watching himself as a child. I just like that. And then commenting on it. It's like he's watching it with us and we're sitting down with Colin Kaepernick having a conversation about his life.
Uh,
It's pretty interesting to see that.
yeah. Well, it seemed like he you know, I it was interesting, right? Like, Colin, it was interesting just to hear him talk.
Yeah, because we never hear him speak. Like all the time, the all the controversy, I think it's kind of died down now. Are we now standing for the Star Spangled Banner? Are we not? What's going on now with football boys?
I think the Kaepernick
Are we
protests
still?
are. I don't know. What do y'all think? I mean,
I don't know if we're
is the
still
Kaepernick
standing.
stuff still happening? Like, is that done? The protests, like,
I don't know.
I
It seemed like it all kind of died down at the end of Trump's presidency, but I don't know.
that is
It
so
just
true. That's a good point.
it's kind of cool that we finally hear his voice.
Mm,
We finally hear what he has to say, and then not only that, but we get a picture of the very dynamic sort of experiences he had as a child growing up with adopted parents. Did not know he was adopted at all. I
well,
thought
yeah. Go.
I
Oh,
thought that maybe his mom like had him with the black guy and then married this man. It didn't feel like a parental situation.
well, his mama. They
Hmm.
presented his mama like she was like a borderline clueless white woman.
She really was clue. They were kind of aloof to some of the experiences that he was going through. It's like if you're gonna adopt a black child, transracial adoptions, you should get into the world of black people more often. It's like they really she just was like, oh, is this how hair works? Or is where's the barber shop? It's in the back of the store. Like
Yeah, but the way he
I
portrayed.
know a lot of white people that know about black culture way more than that mama did.
Well, the way they portrayed it was that his mother. First of all, let me give you the background. His
Okay.
father, nobody knows who his father is. Like they were like
Wow.
his daddy's some dude that just got his mama pregnant. His mama's name was Heidi, and Heidi put him up for adoption. Heidi broke up with the daddy before Colin was born,
Okay.
and then when Colin was 5 weeks old, his mom would put him up for adoption. So I mean, if you really want to understand Colin Kaepernick, in my view,
Hmm.
you got to start there, right? Here's a guy who was abandoned by both his parents. So he was like a man without a country.
Yeah, well, I mean, he doesn't have any memory of that, of course, that abandonment. Like
Right.
all he's ever known are the two parents that he considers his parents. But I mean, the
Hmm.
glaring fact is that he looks way different from them. I mean, you have any sort of remote understanding of biology, you know that there's no way he could be he could be biologically related to them. So it's
Hmm.
kind of like a glaring fact that he was adopted. So it's not like he has to come, oh, I was adopted. I had no idea.
No, but
Like those.
I can tell you as a kid who was adopted. I was adopted. My mother was with me my whole
Right.
life,
Hmm.
but my father was not there. And it wasn't so much that I don't remember my father not being there. You know, the
Right.
guy that raised me was is my dad. It's more like you look at that those cousins you have and stuff, and you know they're not your biological blood relatives.
Mm-hmm.
So you can feel detached.
You do feel
And you've
detached.
mentioned that. I think you've actually diagnosed me with some sort of attachment disorder, because I told you how I don't even remember. I don't even keep that many friends. Like if you ask me to name like 5 friends I had in college, I can't name 5 friends from college. A lot of people know me from college, you know, because I became more famous or whatever. But I don't remember. I just every step of my life, I just moved on. It was like I didn't feel like I needed to stick around
Mm-hmm.
anywhere.
Okay, so I don't know if it's related to you being adopted by your father, but I think what's important is that you did have a biological mother, and she had her family that you are genetically related to. But what I think is really interesting is that you did have a biological father who lived right there in that same city that
Yeah,
you grew up in. So I'm like always kind of curious as to, okay, so things didn't work out with your biological father, but you had all these other family members right there in the city. So I always like
yeah.
curious about like how is it, I guess that's a question I'd have to ask your parents, like how is it you never really connected with those individuals? Because not everybody is bad, right?
That's true, but I mean, it's like what you're comfortable with, and the
Mm-hmm.
reason I say all that is because I wonder if Colin, because I'm gonna just tell you, like, I like Colin Kaepernick, right? I like what he's trying to do. I just am not completely convinced that what Colin Kaepernick was doing with his protest was very effective.
Yeah, I'm gonna tell you, I agree with you. I think this documentary is way more effective than the protest was. Like the documentary, like he starts the documentary with like some real facts about, something historical. So we've only seen three. Have you seen three episodes so far? I think it's
Yeah,
only three.
like 2.5.
Two and a half. And so it just looks like it begins like really powerful. At the beginning of each episode, he's giving facts.
Yeah, I
He's given really interesting information. Like the second episode. So this is a spoiler if people hadn't seen it. So you might want to watch this with caution. But the second episode in particular, I mean, he talks about you need this white stamp of approval in order to be accepted. And what's pretty interesting is that the white stamp of approval has to come from the very people who are taking care of him.
yeah, but
You know?
here's the thing. What I see when I see Colin's documentary is it reminds me of another movie called Dear White People, and where
Mm-hmm.
Colin and I are not the same ideologically. Doesn't mean I dislike Colin. I think Colin's great, but he reminds me of myself when I was in my 20s too.
Uh-huh.
When I was in my 20s, I used to think everything was about what white people think about us.
Right.
Everything's about proving white people wrong. Everything microaggressions. Why are white people looking at me like that? Why are white people talking to me like that? Why won't white people give
Why
me
can't I eat that apple like everybody else?
right? I ate
I
apples.
can't have ice cream.
Right,
He
right.
gets
Yeah,
his
he
ice
had the
cream.
part where he got mad because they wouldn't give him extra ice cream like they gave the white
He was
boys.
like, keep your funky ice cream.
Yeah, yeah, and the thing was, and there was a whole lot of conversation about,
Uh-huh.
white people don't like my hairstyle, white people don't like my music,
Yeah.
and then there was a point when I was maybe in my 30s where it
Right.
hit me, and I was like, who gives a fuck what white people think?
Well, see, that's the interesting. I think that Colin Kaepernick would agree with you. Like, if he was listening to this now, maybe he will. I don't know. He would agree with you, boys. He would say, "Yeah, I really don't care anymore, but I used to care." Like,
No,
I
he
think
he does care.
I don't think he
I think he
does.
does because the whole documentary
I
is
think
about
he
no,
did.
the whole documentary is about white reactions to black culture. That's what like that you could summarize 70%. And I'm not criticizing. I'm not
Uh huh.
complain. I'm not in any way dissing. I'm just saying um,
Uh huh.
that people don't. I think people don't quite understand that when you're obsessing over what white people think about this and what they think about that and what white people did and what white people are not doing, that's a type of white supremacy right there.
Okay.
Like
So.
that's honoring white people by caring about their opinion. They think about this. I ask everybody, give me a yes or no. Yes or no. Do white people sit around wondering what we think? Do white people sit around wondering why we don't approve of them? Do white people sit around and say, "Gosh, black people, I was playing my country music and I had my Trump flag, and black people, they just get so mad because I play country music." Like they don't do that because they don't give a shit.
Yeah. So I think you're right about that. I think Colin Kaepernick is probably agreeing with you, but I think what's happening in this documentary is that he's telling his story. So all of us have this story too,
Mm,
similar story. Think about it. I mean, he's the only black person in his whole family. you know,
mm-hmm.
here he is living there and living in this neighborhood. He made it very clear that, I went from all white neighborhood to yet another all white neighborhood. So he didn't really have that sense of identity development that's very important with in biracial people. And so he's saying that he had to actually release himself from what white people think of him. And I'm telling you the story about how I became the Colin Kaepernick that I became. So I think it's more of a, because I'm really interested we should do another pillow talk when we're
Mm.
done with the entire docu-series. But I think he's getting to that point where he's like right where you are, but he's telling the story about, it's a transition story about how he is starting to develop his own identity.
Yeah,
Hmm.
I will say that you know I watched it. It's very entertaining, right? Like I think that the documentary was great.
Very
Um,
intelligently
but
done.
remember,
Hmm.
it's like I don't believe black people are ever going to be free and liberated as long as all we know how to do is to complain about what it's like to be in the white man's cage,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah.
Like because remember, like
Hmm.
this there's a black liberal ideology here, the underscores. So that's why I compared it to Dear White People.
Hmm.
Dear White People, in my view, from what I've seen of it, is built on this sort of transracial coalition. Because remember, when Dave Chappelle challenged cancel culture, it was one of the executive producers from Dear White People, a trans person, who went after Dave Chappelle because and she went
Hmm.
after him because he didn't fit the company line. He did sort of fit the white liberal ideology. He was coming in and saying, some things
Hmm.
that they didn't approve of. So, what this is built on, it happens a lot on college campuses where there is an indoctrination process where you have the black student who goes to Yale
Hmm.
or Brown,
Hmm.
and in order to be black, they express their blackness by saying, I'm going to wear my hair in braids, and my professor wanted to touch my hair, and that's so
Hmm.
racist, and how dare you, and you're issuing microaggressions, and homophobia, and you got these weird coalitions and all that. When the reality is that most of that dialogue, that those interactions, in my opinion, have never ever improved the lives of the masses of black people.
Yeah.
And that's what I mean. Like I don't think, like, remember, Colin Kaepernick did a very important thing when he got on that one knee and protested, brought attention to police brutality. But then there were also people who said, but where did the lives of black people actually improve as a
Hmm.
result of the protests? And also, when you're protesting in a certain way, you're kind of saying to white people that when you treat us better, that when you all decide to be nice to us again, or for the first time, our lives will improve. So you almost need this weird white partnership in order for you to earn your dignity. And I just don't necessarily believe I need white people to come along for me to
Hmm.
reclaim my humanity.
Right, exactly. So you're further along in your racial identity development. So at the beginning, this happens early on for a lot of people of color. I remember reading this. I teach this at the university, boys,
Mm,
and we talk about Black identity development, and it really starts with that one moment where that one, because remember he's with his friend, his baseball friend, and like he has this glaring, even with his parents, why is his mom so aloof, like obvious racism and discrimination, that he's like, hello, how come no one else sees this? He feels alone. It's like, I see what's going on, nobody else around me can see what's happening, that this lady won't let me eat this apple or eat the cookie, and is glaring discrimination happening, and there's no one else there to kind of stand up for him. That one incident is the first step in your racial identity development. It's noticing racism, turning the television on and noticing the images that you see in the media, which he did talk about in the documentary. It's all of those instances, and then having your white friends who you like and trust, and even your mom and your dad, who should be there for you, sticking up for you, they did not do that for him because they didn't see that. And even in watching the documentary, I remember thinking, God, he needs a black mama because a black mama would know what to do with the hair. The black mom would be more in tune with him. The black mom would be like, hey, you're not going to treat my baby that way. He's going to have somebody who sticks up for him. So the fact that I think that he was just so alone in it all makes you think that there's, I'm certain he probably felt like, wow, there's something wrong with me because everybody around me is not experiencing this. I'm seeing something no one else is seeing.
Well,
So it's
well,
just
let's
it's
talk
just
about that.
part of that development.
Okay, so let's talk about that. Remember, Colin is a black kid who was raised in a white family. So he saw how white people lived and probably grew up thinking he was one of them. And then you
Well,
start,
just not.
well, hold on, wait.
Yeah.
Let me finish.
Mm-hmm.
Then you start realizing that you're different.
Right.
And then you start realizing you're getting treated different. So I can understand how that would piss you off because you're
Right.
sitting there thinking, oh,
Mm-hmm.
my friends are white. I should be getting treated the same way they're being treated. This is crazy. This is horrible, right? And I've seen that, right? I've seen the black people who become incredibly outraged and become super black when they realize that they're actually black. Like
Right.
you realize, like if you grow up kind of knowing, like when I grew up in Kentucky, I just kind of knew just from my grandmother and
Mm-hmm.
grandparents telling me things. I understood being black means white people aren't going to love you as much as they love themselves, and it didn't shock me, Whereas I'd have a friend who might think. I think about one friend in particular who thought he was white. He did what white people did. He talked like white people, hung around white people. So when he experienced real racism, he was like, "What is this? This is unbelievable. This is an
Uh-huh.
outrage." And I
It's
was like, "Dude, calm down." Like,
Yeah, it's so funny how it happens a lot when people go to college. So you get a lot of black kids who go to like predominantly white high schools, but they go to college and then they get into their blackness when they in college because they start to get around a little more diversity sometimes, and so they're joined the what do they join? The Black Student Association,
black
and they'll
student.
join that, and it is just a necessary part in their development. And then, but eventually, you get to the point where you just where you were at the beginning of our conversation, where you just like forget it. I don't care what they think. I'm going to do my own thing. So, yeah, I
Well,
think.
and I kind of feel like, and by the way, you're listening to Pillow Talk with Dr. Boyce and Dr. Alicia Watkins. My name is Dr. Boyce Watkins, and this is my lovely wife, Dr. Alicia Watkins. And if you want to actually be a Patreon on this channel, you can go to intelligentblackpeople.com. We like to have smart conversations, or try to, anyway, about the things that we're all seeing in the media. And so let me kind of dive into, like, in terms of what I see with the Colin Kaepernick thing. I think that what my guess on Kaepernick is that, okay, so he's a black kid who grew up with white parents, didn't feel he felt connected, right? Like they're raising him like a white boy. He realizes he's not white. He realizes he's black, and I think that was very hurtful and hard for him. And then there's a lot of the things I saw.
I would have felt so lonely. I can't imagine how he just felt really lonely. I mean, he did have that one black friend, who seemed to like introduce him to cornrows and Allen Iverson. Oh my goodness! Shout out
Right,
to how
and
he
that and that
really.
and that's
Hmm.
go. Let me jump in on that.
Okay.
Okay, right. So think about this, right? When you talk about what it means to be black? Well,
Hmm.
it's a lot of it's very what they call black culture. It's black.
Right.
It's cultural, right? It's your hair, it's the music, it's sports, right? And then it's also maybe something like police brutality. Okay, fine. One of the problems with that, though, is that there are lots of manifestations of blackness that don't have anything to do with what hairstyle you have or whether you can dribble a basketball, right? Black, in my view, blackness can relate to connecting to your humanity, right? Just being a human being. And a human being doesn't have to have cornrows. They don't have to know how to dribble a basketball. They don't have to listen to hip hop. You're
Hmm.
just a human. You just live, and that's it. Being black is not the first thing people know about you. And I think that as Kaepernick was searching for his
Hmm.
identity, I feel like he, to some extent, could be defined as one of those biracial people who overcompensates.
Yeah, I mean, he definitely. I mean, that now just reminded me. The very first episode began on. He talked about media. He talked about
Hmm.
media's images. He talked about football mimicking, slave auctions. So he is very much aware of the fact that cornrows was part of the black culture that was placed on him.
Yeah.
Because he began the episode telling you already, I know you're going to talk about cornrows in the media in some sense, but here I'm just telling you where it comes from and how I got suckered in and I played along.
Well, there is
It's really like a confessional
well,
on
there,
his part.
well, there is a deep, rich
Mhm.
analysis that can be done on just the way. I like the way he compared the NFL combine to the slave auction, right?
Yeah,
Look at how
yeah.
big that Negro is. Look at how strong he is. Look at how high he can jump. I get that part, right? It's all about sort of for hundreds of years marveling at the physical prowess of the black male, right? And then the NFL itself and the NBA is a manifestation of the fact that they used to breed black people like animals. They bred us to create the superhumans,
Yeah.
right? And that's what they don't talk about it, but we know what happened. They had entire farms, like Negro factories where they would just make black people have sex and make babies, right? So here's the thing, though, right? Let's be clear, though. Being in the NFL ain't no goddamn slave auction. NFL athletes are at the combine because they want to be.
Mm-hmm.
At the slave auction, you had no damn choice for the most part, unless your choice was death.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the first thing. Then the second thing is these dudes are all lining up for the chance to make millions of dollars. I ain't nobody gonna feel sorry
Yeah,
for.
yeah, I think so. But I mean, just think about the life of a professional football player. I mean, you're in the league not very long. Not many people are
Well,
in there
it's a
very
terrible
long.
profession
It is
for most
awful.
players. Go ahead. Sorry.
I just think it's awful all around. I mean, the concussions that people get, your time in the NFL in particular is very short, maybe a couple of seasons, and you're out. So and then you never get those brain cells back from all those concussions. So it's pretty hazardous, and I think maybe that's kind of what he was saying, in the sense.
I mean,
Mhm. Go
well,
ahead.
I definitely don't. I wouldn't want my son playing in the NFL, but at the same time, though, let me just say why I stood corrected just a little bit, possibly.
Hmm.
At the All Black National Convention, a brother came up to me and he was super tall. He's about 6'8".
Oh gosh.
And
Okay.
he said to me, he said, Dr. Boyce, I listen to you all the time and I respect everything, a lot of what you have to say, but I have to disagree with you about what you said about being in the NFL. He said, it's not as bad as you think. He literally said that to me. He said I played for the Jets, the New York Jets for 7 years and
Hmm.
the Patriots for 2 years. I believe that's what he said. And and it turned out, I said, wait, I guess his position, I guess he was a defensive end. He said, no, he was a tight end.
Oh, a tight
And
end.
and
Okay.
he basically said, man, I played 10 years and I'm fine. And a lot of my friends are fine. He said,
Okay.
so in
He's
his
fine. You should have asked him to count backwards
I
from
know,
a
right? I
hundred.
know. No, but let me tell you, he was a very intelligent brother. Very intelligent.
Okay.
He brought his whole family to the convention.
Okay.
So obviously he didn't fit anywhere near any stereotype of a dumb jock or anything like that. And I listened to him, and I said, "Thank you for sharing that
Hmm.
perspective." Right
Hmm.
now, and so with the thing with Kaepernick as well, when you're talking about, I get that, right? I totally get what he's saying about the potential comparison of the NFL to slave auctions and the white man's in control, the white man's approval, right? But you remember, I think Cap made $100 million from the NFL. You know,
And then his the Nike contract. Remember, he made
right?
quite a
And
bit from the
right.
Nike contract. Yeah.
So I mean,
That's
dude,
what he got out of the protest.
brother, you got paid. Nigga,
and
you ain't Kunta Kinte. That's what I'm saying. You ain't Kunta Kinte.
he got a contract with Netflix.
Yeah.
He's gonna
I
do
mean,
very
my
well.
man is paid. Like, okay, so I'm not saying.
Well, he could get paid and go away somewhere, but he didn't get paid and go away. He got paid and he's running with it.
Well, let me just say, you know what?
He didn't have to do this
Let me
documentary.
just ask everybody listening, yes or no? Colin Kaepernick made over $100 million. If you could trade lives with Kaepernick, would you do it? Like, if you could be as rich as him and have what he had and go through what he's gone through, would you make that trade? So I would say that when you're talking about Kaepernick's experience, you got to be real careful about you know fantasy versus facts, right? Here are the facts. Kaepernick did a great job highlighting police brutality. I thought that was great. I love,
Yeah.
for whatever reason he was doing it. I love the way he used his platform to
Hmm.
draw attention to a very important issue.
Yeah, he raised awareness. Just I think this documentary, he's also raising awareness too. I mean, not everybody knows the history of hip hop like that. And DJ Herc, whatever
Cool
his name,
Herc.
Cool Herc. I mean, he really was the founder of hip hop. Like, that's just great,
Well,
So he's
right.
doing a good job there, raising
He
awareness.
did. Okay, but
Hmm.
let me finish. I
Go
wasn't done
ahead.
yet. I
All right,
wasn't
go
done yet.
ahead. I
Okay.
just want to add to what you're saying.
Yes, he did. He absolutely did. Okay. He did a good job of raising awareness. He did more than most.
Hmm.
Let's be clear. I think that the question that I would end up asking though is, how are the lives of Black people going to be better and more empowered as a result of just all of this, right?
Yeah.
So, here's the thing. White people don't love you. Like I think that that's it. If Black people would all just agree that white people don't love you, they ain't never gonna love you, and they ain't got to love you.
You are not gonna get that white
White
stamp of
people don't owe
approval.
you love. They are not your goddamn parents.
You are so
Your
right.
mama owes you love. The white man does not. And I think if you get that through your thick skull, then we can move forward.
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah.
can we all agree? Let's just start there. Let's start the basics.
Yes, I
All right.
do agree.
Everybody give me a yes in the chat if you agree that white people don't love you and they probably ain't gonna really love you that much. And they
we
don't
don't
owe
care.
and they
They
don't
don't
owe
owe
you.
us.
They don't owe you love. You might want to choose to love them. All right. A lot of us really love us some white folks. I don't feel like they have to love us. A white man ain't got to love me. He's supposed to love his wife. He's supposed to love his kids.
That's so true. Okay.
I don't
I'm with you on this
because
one.
let's keep it 100. No disrespect. If you white, I'm sorry if I hurt your feelings, but I don't love you neither. I don't hate them. I just don't think about them. I'm thinking, you know what I love? I love you.
Yeah, I love you too.
Give me a kiss. I love our children in the other room.
I love those kids.
Yes, I love my people.
I love your people. I love
Right.
my people.
So I think that when you just start there, right? Like
Yeah.
they don't love you, they don't care about you. They're not going they don't even owe it to you. Then that takes away 90% of the racial conversations we have in this country.
I wonder how they feel when we ask for reparations.
They probably are pissed about it. I know I'll be like, wait a minute, what do I got to do with what my ancestors did 300 years ago?
I hate that.
Right, and
I
that's a
hate that
logical
statement.
argument. Right, and that's where being gangster comes into play.
That's straight
Like,
gangster.
right, like children suffer for the sins of their parents. Right. So, look, I might feel like I ain't got nothing to do with what my granddaddy did to you and your family. But if I'm living in a house that my granddaddy stole from your granddaddy, then I owe you that house. And it's up to you to make me give it back to you. Seriously.
No, make me give it back to you. So you're not gonna. Your heart is not gonna get big and be like, oh,
my heart,
this house.
My heart will never be that big. I'm not giving you shit. You're gonna have to come take it.
You gotta come take it.
So when you talk about things like reparations, with white folks, their hearts ain't never gonna be big enough to give away $14 trillion. They're
not among the right
you
people.
Gonna have to get gangster. You're going to be like Joe Pesci in Goodfellas.
I love Joe Pesci.
Remember that scene, famous scene, where he said, F you, pay me. You pay me. You remember that?
Wait, Joe Pesci in what movie?
In Goodfellas.
Oh, you know what? I was thinking Pesci in the oh gosh, it was the history of the CIA. What movie was that? The Good Shepherd.
The Good Shepherd.
The Good Shepherd. So Joe Pesci in The Good Shepherd, you got to watch his clip. Boys, I've been trying to get you to watch that movie, The Good Shepherd.
I watched The Good Shepherd. I didn't watch the whole movie, but I did see the clip.
You gotta see the whole
and I watched
movie.
Enough
it's
of
deep.
It. Really?
But anyway, so we love Joe Pesci's roles in films.
Well,
clearly.
Joe Pesci
he brings it though.
Well, you know what? I remember Joe Pesci in Goodfellas because there was that one scene. I think it was Pesci. Maybe it was. Maybe I got it wrong. Mm-hmm. But there was a part where the guy was like, I don't have your money because blah blah blah. He's like, F you, pay me. Yeah. And he's like, yeah, but
I don't have it.
F you, pay me. F you, pay me. And that's what black people got to do. If black people really want to get something out of these Democrats who don't respect your ass, they're going to have to literally say, F you, pay me. Okay. Like, we will not vote for you. We don't care what your excuses are. If you can't go get the money, then that's fine. We just won't. You'll never get our vote again.
Okay, so let me tell you what his scene was in The Good Shepherd. Do you remember?
I remember he said the Negroes have their music.
Yeah, he was like, the Irish has their land. He said the niggers, or I don't know how he said it. He said they have their music. Isn't that interesting? And he
Mm.
said, well, what do we have? And he's talking about the white Protestant Christian, the WASP. He's like, we got the United States of America and all y'all just stopping by or something like that. So that's a really
Mm.
good scenario about how this country was formed, how this country was made, and the fact that I don't owe you nothing and I don't love you. I
Mm.
mean, that scene is really heavy. So I encourage everybody to go see that scene because that, in a nutshell, just tells you about how the United States of America operates.
Well, if you want
Hmm.
to know,
Okay.
here's the reason why I don't feel sorry for Colin Kaepernick.
Okay.
I
Wow.
I just, I'm gonna just be keep it 100. Okay, so let me actually I'm actually show you all that this is why Colin Kaepernick is not Kunta
Yeah.
Kinte,
He's
and
not
while the
cute.
NFL is not a slave auction. Don't get me wrong. I mean, yes, it's kind of a brutal way to make a living, but it does pay well if you're Colin Kaepernick.
Well, do you
So
think he's a little bitter because they won't
yeah,
sign him or
I'd be
something?
mad too.
Well, he don't need
I
to
mean he
play football. What does he
yeah,
need to
but
play
well he
football
probably
for?
loves the game.
Okay.
He loves the game, right? So here's Kaepernick's numbers in terms of contract. This the top is 2014 to 2017. The bottom is 2011 to 2014. So here you can see his contract over 6 years. His 6 year contract was 114 million. Signing bonus was 12 million. Average salary 19 million. Total guarantees 61 million guaranteed money.
When was
Um,
this? Was this
this
before
was
he took a knee or after he took a knee?
this was during, like, it was during this second contract they took a knee. I think it was 2016 when he
Because I
first started
think he
taking a knee.
made more money since he took the knee.
Well, I mean, he's made. I don't, he probably has. Who knows?
Okay. All
But
right.
yeah, and then the bottom part is 2011 and 2014. His first contract was 4 years, 5 million. His signing bonus was 2.2 million. Average salary 1.2 million. So even when he was making garbage money, he still got a guaranteed 3.8 million. Right. So
Well,
Cap
3.8 is nothing compared to 100 million.
3.8 million is a lot of money.
It is. It is a lot of money.
That's a lot of. I mean, sure, it's not.
Three
It's
point eight.
it's not a lot of money if you're an NFL quarterback,
Mm-hmm.
but Cap ain't struggling, right? He's not in the struggle, right? But that doesn't mean he doesn't deserve to be heard, right? That doesn't mean
Mm-hmm.
that he doesn't have valid points. And what I would probably advise him on, if he and I were just sitting here rapping and talking, because I'm not dissing him at all. I'm not saying like, oh, you're full of crap, you're crazy.
No, I don't think you are at all. I think the stuff you're saying, it's really poignant, boys.
Oh, thank you. Well, what I would say
I
with
like
Cap,
it.
is great. I think the documentary is very entertaining.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's great that he's telling his story. It's great to hear him talk. I wish he had talked a little more before, especially last year. I think a lot of people would have wanted to hear his voice. He did a lot of retweeting from other
Mm-hmm.
people, stuff like that. And that's not the same as actually speaking up and putting your neck on the line and things like that. But if you're going to do all that, I really think, be real gangster with it. Like, seriously, like, okay, the white man, you need the white man's approval in the NFL. Why?
Mm-hmm.
Why? The Chicago Bears were purchased for like $100. They're now worth what, 2 or 3 billion or something, right?
Mm.
The New York Jets, teams like that, major NFL teams worth over $1 billion, were all purchased for like a few $100, maybe a few thousand. So we got all these athletes and entertainers that they wave in front of us on TV, talking about how rich they are, how powerful they are. Well, if you are always taking a knee for the white man, and because you need him to give you his approval for you to play football or do the thing you love, then that to me says you ain't got no real power.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, where's the power?
There's no power
I
there.
don't see the power, and I see, the money being, that kind of lifestyle that I see a lot of athletes, having. Like, you can't sustain that,
Hmm.
for a long time
Yeah, and
unless you make some really intelligent decisions early on.
well, a lot of
You
times I
know.
think the reason we don't fully manifest in terms of our power is because, first of all, I don't really know if we know exactly what power looks like.
Hmm.
A lot of people have borrowed power and they think it's real power. Like if somebody put you on a TV show and they make you famous and give you a little money, you say, "Look at me, I've got power." But if you ain't really calling the shots, then that's
Hmm.
not power. Or if you get a fancy job, you're an executive at Merrill Lynch or whatever, and you think you have power, but but you don't really have any power because you can't even give your relatives a job without asking for your boss's permission.
It's an
To
illusion. It's an
right,
illusion of power.
right.
Yeah.
What power, institutional power means the control of institutions.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, if I am a person who runs a little school that has 1,000 kids in it, and I decide what the curriculum is going to be, I decide how the class is going to be structured, who's going to teach there. I have more power with that one school with 1,000 kids than I would have if I were, one of the
President of
right,
or
the head of a
a
university,
faculty. Mm-hmm.
right,
Yeah.
or superintendent of Chicago Public Schools,
Yeah.
right, or if I am an athlete, who creates a league like Ice Cube has the Big Three, and Kanye, invested actually in Ice Cube's
Oh,
Big
did
Three league.
he?
Yeah, that's what I just read. And
Okay.
you and I had personal conversations with both Ice Cube and Kanye. That we
Mm-hmm.
know that they subscribe to Powernomics from Dr. Claude Anderson. That's why we all know each other. It's because we all are students of Claude Anderson. Well, that's more power than being a high-ranking official in the NBA or the NFL, because the NFL doesn't even have any black owners. So, if you're an owner in the NFL or part owner, you think you have power, but you don't have power, because power comes in the ability to change the lives of a significant number of the people where you come from. Like Malcolm X used to say, "I don't care how well the white man treats me. I don't care how much he puts me on TV. I don't care how much money he pays me. If you're not if I'm not in a position to do the same thing for my people, then I don't accept any of that."
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I don't think guys get that, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, that feeling powerless is a sad moment because it's almost like an illusion of inclusion. It's like you think that there's so many times I thought that my word meant something at work. Like your
Mm,
opinion or your thoughts about something really meant something, but there's actually other people really making the decisions and you ain't at the table.
yeah,
You be thinking, and there have been times actually, very rarely, where I did have I was able to like have a word, and you know what that feels like.
hmm,
Yes, no, like cut them out. No, they're not going to be here anymore. So that is a certain feeling that you get.
yeah,
I
yeah,
agree.
yeah. I
Yeah.
think I think that I've been saying this for a little bit. And I'll probably keep saying it. Is
Hmm.
whenever I hear an entertainer talk about wealth and power and things like that, my question to them would be, how many thousands of jobs have you created for Black people, or how many
Hmm.
hundreds of jobs have you created?
Hmm.
Elon Musk is powerful. He's created 1 million jobs. Jeff Bezos is powerful. He's created 1 million jobs for mostly white people. How many Black people, how many Black celebrities do we have that have created thousands and thousands and thousands of jobs? Or
Hmm.
do we just have prominent Black people who get attention by complaining about their white boss? Right? That's
Hmm.
what that is. So I think with Kaepernick, I would have challenged the guys. I would have said, why do you need a white man's permission to play football?
Hmm.
Oh, because what? Because the white man owns the 49ers. That's his brand. The white man owns the NFL. That's his brand. Well, where's your motherfucking brand?
Hmm.
Where's your institution?
Hmm.
You know where you can go find a football field. You can get people to watch the
You can
game.
get a lot. Watch the game. You can get people to watch the game, sponsor it. You can get people to play the game. There's always talent out there.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, and
it's nothing but a thing. He could have used this money to do that. If that's
yeah,
what he was really
right.
after.
Right.
Hmm.
Like it's
Hmm.
it's just like think about it. It's like if I'm playing in a basketball game and I
Hmm.
don't like the way the game's being run. I don't like the rules. I
Hmm.
feel like the refs are cheating or whatever.
Yep.
Am I gonna keep playing the game and bitching? Or am I gonna grab my ball and go home? I'll be
Or
like,
no, what you're gonna do is do a documentary on it, so that you can tell on, so that you can tell on people.
you know what I would do?
You can tell on
I
white
would
people being white.
You're so funny. I would grab my ball and I would be like, I got a court near my house, and
Yeah.
my friends are gonna be the referees on this court. If you want to play me, you come to my house. I'm not playing at your house. Period. And the reason I think the reason that we don't have that vision all the time is because it's where people are into the fast, easy route to the big money,
Hmm.
right? Like you can go out and get an NFL contract and get 50 million, $100 million because the white man's ready to write you that check, right? But in terms of doing the grind necessary to build your own NBA or your own NFL, where you're not making 30 million a year, you might lose 10 million a year, for a little while, or you might only make 2 million a year. a lot of guys don't want to take that pay cut, right? So
Ugh.
ultimately, so like Angel asked a good question. She says, "Where's your league, Dr. Boyce?" Well, that's a
Yeah.
great question. Excellent question,
Well,
Angel.
okay,
No, let me
no,
show. Well, let me
I
show.
want to say
Well, let
something.
me show.
Can I respond to that?
Yeah, yeah. Go ahead.
You got your league because you weren't playing at Syracuse. They
No,
wouldn't let you
that's my
play.
motherfucking league.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, y'all saw my league. Not, we didn't ask nobody's from we the All Black National Convention, Angel. So you should have been there. It was amazing. That's our league. Like
Yeah, that's I was
yeah.
gonna say that.
Go ahead. What are you
No,
gonna say?
that's what I was just gonna say.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
that's okay. You stole my thunder a little bit, but that's all right.
I'm sorry. I apologize.
You
My bad.
got all excited, didn't you, voice?
Yeah, yeah. I'm just like, no, I haven't. I don't even know what it feels like to be under the white man's thumb like that. I mean, I'm not saying,
Mm-hmm.
here's the thing. I mean, and when I did that, it wasn't easy. It was like,
Yeah,
yeah, I walked away from a very high salary. I walked away from quote unquote job security. I walked away from, easy status and credibility. But as a result of pouring into myself and pouring into my community, I own about 8 brands that I wouldn't sell for less than $1 million. Like
mm-hmm.
seriously,
Yeah,
even my name is worth millions of dollars now, right? And that's what I'm saying when I talk about these guys. Like, so Cap is mad because he can't play for the 49ers. Well, maybe that's God's way of saying that you're supposed to start your own team in your own league.
that would be so great. Like, all he got to do is just follow what Ice Cube did.
Yeah,
He could just follow. I wonder, do they know each other? That would be really interesting. Like, he could just follow that. We would sponsor something, wouldn't we?
yeah. I mean, we
If
can
he started
support.
his own league, I would support it.
Oh, of course. I mean,
Yeah,
I
sponsor.
think that here's the thing, right?
Be
Like,
wonderful.
in order to build
Hmm.
in order to build a sports league, and make millions of dollars, right off the bat,
Hmm.
you wouldn't make the money that you're making now, right? Because it's profitable to sell yourself into slavery. Right? It's profitable just to go to the white man and say, sign me up for your team and you give me the big contract, because he's got the infrastructure. He's been doing this for 100 years.
Hmm.
But but if LeBron and, let's say, LeBron and his 10 richest friends all got together and said, let's create an NBA, a version of the NBA.
Ooh, like the Negro leagues, like the
Well, they would
Negro
not do.
baseball
Right,
league.
yeah,
Remember
yeah,
that?
yeah, but it wouldn't have to be called the Negro Leagues. It
Yeah,
could.
but I'm just referring back to the Negro leagues
Yeah,
for
yeah. So if
baseball.
they
Hmm.
decided to create their own sports league, right? And then what do you need? Well, first of all, you need to have a basketball court. I don't know. What do y'all think? Do you think you can get a basketball court?
Or an arena.
I'm kidding. I'm being silly. That right. No, you don't even need an arena. Like, do you know, like, Rucker Park in New York?
Hmm.
Like, all the legends play at Rucker Park. They could televise games at Rucker Park. Because Rucker Park's famous like that,
Or
right?
we can watch it in the metaverse, boys.
Stop that. Be quiet. So seriously though, pay
Okay, go
attention.
ahead.
No, I'm
Hmm.
serious. I'm serious. Okay. So they so you all you need is a court. You
Hmm.
need some basketball players. We got plenty of those, and then you need an audience. Well, if LeBron and 10 of his richest friends all got together, they got probably 1 billion followers on social media. That's your audience. You just broadcast the games on social media, and then at that point, you start making money because corporations will go wherever the audience is.
Hmm.
So you go to the corporations and you say, we had a game last week and 18 million people watched it. They're going to want to sponsor that. Then you're making your money. And you've got all these businesses that are built out of that. Like, you think about the All Black National Convention.
Hmm.
We sold out of vendor spots quickly
Yeah.
because people came where the people were coming. The vendors came where the people were. So they were like, "Oh, we have a black owned business. We're going to sell our products at the convention because there are all these black people there." Right? So what happens is that when you gather people together, you create your own economy. So, like, a lot of money, sure, our organization was able to make the money back that we invested, but a lot of people made a ton of money at that convention. Jay Ortiz, the rapper out of Philly, he made $4,000
That is so great.
selling his artwork. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so what my point is to say, like, let me see. I got a picture of Jay. That's Jay Ortiz, by the way. Jay was at the convention. He's a cool dude, very smart guy. He's like a visionary. He's very Kanye Westish.
He's so creative.
Super, super
That's the
creative.
biggest thing.
Yeah,
His creativity. I mean, he just lives in that creative space.
yeah,
It's
he's
pretty
super,
cool.
very creative. Yeah, and but yeah, yeah. I mean, so my point is to say that I think that the guys, and I'm not mad at them. I think that maybe you always make jokes. You always say that because I'm 50, I shake my fist at the air a
Yeah,
lot.
don't shake your fist in the
So I'm
air.
not
It
shaking my
makes you
fist at
look
the air.
much older than
You know what? You
50.
know what it is. It
Uh-huh.
makes me want to. I wish I could like really talk to them. I've been to a few athletes. There's a few athletes I talked. There was one brother that played for the University of Michigan. That he was. I don't know if he was in the NFL or not. I think he played for a little while, but he has this really cool business, and we were talking. I'd like to talk to them more about sovereignty and what that looks like, right? You know, like I talked to somebody, it's pretty well known, and I said, "Why are those NBA players all wearing those Black Lives Matter T-shirts?" And he said, "Well, you know how it is. The teams make them do it." And I said, "Okay, I kind of get that, but." When it comes to an important issue in terms of how to express your blackness, I don't really think that a guy who makes 20 million a year can say, I'm only doing this because my boss told me to do it. Like, like manhood and masculinity, part of that, in my view, and real power means the ability to kind of manifest.
Well, they had to do something. They couldn't lose all those players.
Yeah,
They
they
had
did.
to do
Right.
something to kind of like make them feel like, hey, we're in your corner. We hear you.
Yeah, they
We
did. They
had
did.
to do something because they knew they could not have a bunch of disgruntled black people on their teams
Yeah, yeah.
joining together.
Yeah, and but no,
That could not have, that movement needed to have been squashed,
that's
right?
true. But the thing was that
Hmm.
a lot of like the real black folks who are really out in the streets, really doing the work, really building in the community, they saw right through the Black
Yeah,
Lives
they
Matter movement.
did.
They were like, "Oh no, this is the LGBT movement that has put a black face on it."
Hmm.
And this was not our movement. And if you
Yeah.
notice, the Black Lives Matter movement has pretty much all but disappeared after the election.
Well,
It
we
was
started wondering, like, where did Black Lives Matter come from? Who's funding this?
right.
Why is this such an organized organization that popped out of nowhere? Like,
Right. And now
that
it's
don't make
gone. Now
sense.
it's gone. It was designed to win an election.
It was designed to neutralize us.
Right. Black Lives Matter was a movement that was pretty much created because they were trying to get Trump out of office. Now,
Gosh.
and Biden, and get Biden into office. Now
Hmm.
that they got Biden into office, even the Black Lives Matter leadership can't even get him on the phone. Remember, they were talking about how they were trying to talk to the Biden administration after they used them up like a bunch of
They were
hoes.
attached at the hip
Yeah.
come the election.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so what I said to the guy was I said, these black men need to have their own movement. They
They
need to
really
be the
do.
leadership and the decision makers in that movement. Don't follow somebody else's lead because there's a lot of Trojan horses out here.
Hmm.
And I think with Cap, I think he's trying to be on the right path. But I
Hmm.
think when you're talking about quote unquote leadership, the question is what are the deliverables of that leadership?
Hmm.
And I don't know what the deliverables are.
Yeah, I mean, it really. Yeah, I mean, look at Colin Kaepernick. I mean, he's dressed like a Black Panther,
Right.
like someone in the Black Panther Party with their big afro. So he has like the optics
Yeah,
of
yeah.
something that's,
Oh yeah, it's cool. His afro is like the coolest thing ever, and the cornrows are cool.
And
And
who's the lady? Is that is
that's
that
his
his
girlfriend. Her
lady?
name's Anessa or
Gosh,
something.
they look like twins.
Yeah, they do. They do
They
look
look so
like
much alike.
siblings, don't they?
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
she tweets for him all the time.
really,
Yeah,
that's her
that
job, is to tweet
I
for him.
guess she's the family
Maybe I
tweeter.
should I should get a Twitter account and tweet for you boys.
Yeah, maybe you should. That's
Do some
that's it.
tweeting.
Those are his parents, the nice people that adopted him.
They were kind of clueless about what was going on with Black people. I,
They
I'm I
they
just
were
couldn't
they were. And
like read a history book or something.
yeah, that's true. Well, at least they were portrayed as clueless.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I guess maybe learning his culture would have helped for sure. And also
Struggling alone.
you have to question a little bit about, when white folks are adopting black babies, but at the same time, um, I'd rather have a black baby adopted by a white family that loves them than to have them in the system, right?
Yeah, that's true.
And
Yeah.
and also once again, to be honest with you, if I were to adopt a white child, which I don't know why I would, but if I were, I wouldn't spend time teaching him how to be white. It wouldn't be a priority for me. I would teach him just how to be a good person,
Well,
you know.
that would be doing the child a disservice. I mean, there are a lot of white people who have very strong cultural heritage, with Italian culture and I don't know, Polish culture. I mean, you should. I think when you adopt someone, you should try to get into like where they came from and their origin, and try to help them to develop their own identity because you don't want them lost when they grow up.
That's
So
true.
that would be doing them a disservice, boys.
Yeah, it would be. It would be. By the way,
Yeah.
this is Pillow Talk with Dr. Boyce and Dr. Alicia Watkins, and I'm Dr. Boyce Watkins. This is my wife, Dr. Alicia. She is a licensed couples counselor and full professor of social work, and my PhD is in finance. In case you want to know our backgrounds and where we're coming from, and also Alicia's website and Instagram is Coaching with Dr. Alicia. So you can
Hmm.
go to coachingwithdralicia.com if you want to check her out and see what she's up to, and she counsels couples and stuff like that. If you could, please hit the thumbs up button. Thumbs up, thumbs up, thumbs up. Please do that right now. All right. So, so let me just kind of, I probably feel like, when comes to Kaepernick's documentary, I almost wish I could have made like a list, like a short list of the things that I observed,
Yeah, we
and
should have been taking notes because it was a
right,
lot in there.
right. And first of
Yeah.
all, it was well produced. It's worth watching. Would
Yeah.
you agree?
Ava DuVernay. Come on.
Yeah, well, Ava DuVernay is great.
She's good.
Well, Madam President, who came to the convention, she worked with Ava DuVernay and Tyler Perry, and I think
Oprah.
an Oprah, Ava DuVernay, and Tyler Perry. Yeah, Madam President was at the convention. Um, so I would say that it's worth watching, and shout out, to Ava DuVernay for doing what she does. Um, and I think that there is a role for
Hmm.
um what was done in this documentary, right? I think that what is oversold to us as Black people, which has not proven to give us any progress and real power, is this over commitment to integrationist ideologies related to like things like white allies.
Hmm.
Um,
Hmm.
I'm not saying that we should sit around being mad at white people, and I'm not saying that we should separate from white people. I'm just saying that the answer to your oppression does not lie within getting acceptance from your oppressor, right? The oppression will not end because the oppressor decides to just be nice to you and to
And
accept you,
give them your house.
right?
Come on in.
Right. Yeah.
We stole this house from you. Just come on in.
Yeah. They're not going to give you their
They're
house.
not. Yeah.
They're not going to see you as their equal, and
Yeah.
and they shouldn't. Why? Because think about it. I have a house, right? I run a business. It's a Black-owned business. The Black business was Boyce Watkins Enterprises. Is very Black. You know, if you come into my company and you're white, you're gonna probably have to adjust to our culture.
Hmm.
Like this is our house. We built this house. This is B1 Black First. Black First could be accused of being Black supremacist. I mean, you could say that, right? And I'm not gonna say it is or isn't, but what I will say is, that Black people, instead of trying to fit into the white man's house, we need to learn how to build our own house
Hmm.
and then let them fit into our shit. You know, and so I kind of feel um, like I think that Ava DuVernay's documentary, The 13th, was very important.
I could not sit through it. It was just too. I got through like the first 10 minutes and I turned it off. I just couldn't get through. She
Well,
did the 13th.
was it called The 13th?
I didn't think she did. I thought she did the one with the four boys in New York
She
who
did
was
that too.
accused of raping
She did. I think she did that too.
that lady. She did 13. I didn't know she did
I think
13.
so. Did Ava DuVernay do
That
The
was really
13th?
hard. It was like a horror
I
film.
can't watch it
Okay.
because I already know everything that's in it.
Yeah, and I
You
don't
know.
want to relive that.
Yeah.
It's
See
just
that
tough.
that's the thing.
It hurts to relive that.
Well,
You know.
here's what I've noticed. Right, when you talk about race, there are these classes of Black people who make content so they can educate white people.
Mm-hmm.
Like when Kendu Isaacs wrote his book on anti-racism, and somebody sent it to me because I was actually in it. He mentioned me somewhere near the end of the book. It became this New York Times bestseller.
Oh, the new racism or something.
It's something on
Okay,
anti-racism. I don't
right.
know.
Mm-hmm.
And what I conclude from books like that is that they're designed to educate white people,
Okay.
and they're educating them with what I believe this false hope that white people will see the light. They're going to change their systems, and they're going to start treating Black people well. And I don't believe in that fight. I believe that what matters is not how white people treat black people, but as George Fraser says, it's about how black people treat black people.
Mm-hmm.
I think that we are the key to
So
our success.
you're advocating for non-participation in their
I'm
systems.
saying that if you don't like a system, get the fuck out the system.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Systems are created. Why am I even investing in your system if I don't want
Mm-hmm.
if it's not working for me?
Mm-hmm.
You know, um, it's like if you're not, if you're being, disrespected in a marriage, some say you should get a new marriage. You know,
Mm-hmm.
if you are if you're disrespected on your job, why are you
Leave.
do you have to be
Yeah.
at that job?
Yeah.
You know,
Well, hey, last I heard, that's exactly what people are doing.
yeah,
They're like, yeah, I
the
got
Great
out.
Resignation.
The Great Resignation. People are like, I'm done with this.
Yeah, I'm
You
out of
gave
here.
me a chance to sit at home and do nothing and
Hmm.
sit and think and contemplate while I try to stay away from this pandemic and the virus. I'm trying to stay away from it all. I'm sitting at home thinking.
But it reminds me of like a
Hmm.
really bad relationship where the couple takes a break
And then they
and then
realize
they
this was
realize
way better.
the person's like, I'm having so much fun without you.
I moved on to someone else.
Right.
Thank you for letting us get some
Yep.
space.
Yep. That's
Yeah.
right. That's right.
And
Yeah.
then there's so many people who are realizing that I can get the work done in my house and
Hmm.
then some,
Yeah.
and then get all this other stuff done because you waste so much time commuting back and forth. It's just ridiculous. So
Yeah.
yeah, I totally get it. So
Well,
people are waking up.
people are. I'm not a Marxist, right? But
Okay.
I've studied enough Marxism to appreciate some of the good ideas of Marxism.
Mm-hmm.
And Marx did a really good job of critiquing capitalism by kind of basically making a very simple point that this is my limited interpretation of some small aspect of what he said, and this is because it's something I've always said. God did not put you on this earth to spend most of your waking hours serving a corporation
Mm-hmm.
and sitting on the corporate plantation. You were just trained to believe that's what you're supposed to do,
Well,
and so when people get a chance to know what life is like without the
mm-hmm.
corporation being the center of their existence,
Mm-hmm.
they say, "Man, I like this. This is great," and they don't go back.
Yeah, and I think that's what Colin Kaepernick. He started his documentary with that point. He's like, we've all been conditioned. We've all been conditioned to serve other
Hmm.
people, not ourselves, but to serve other people's interests.
Yeah.
That was the very first episode of the documentary. So there's some poignant parts in there. I really like the part where he was trying to be. He had challenges in his life trying to be a quarterback, and he's like, I want to be the best quarterback, and what he did to kind of overcome
Hmm.
so
Now
that he
that was
can
good.
be. That was
I
really
enjoyed
good.
that.
Like I like watching those instances because I related to my life and I related to what I see other people go through. All of those little challenges and you overcome them and you're better for it.
Well, I
Yeah.
respect Colin as an athlete because he was able to. I mean, anybody that can become an NFL quarterback and win the Super Bowl
That's a big deal.
is usually pretty extraordinary what he does. So just as myself being a former athlete, like I was really
Oh, that's
intrigued by
right. Your
that.
track star life.
I was not a track star.
You were a track star. In my head, when I explain you to people, I'm like, oh, he was a track star in high school.
Well, baby, that means you would be lying.
I'm not lying.
I was
No
cap.
cap. No cap.
I was captain. I was actually I was captain of my track
That's
team,
right.
and
You earned
but
that
I was
spot.
not. I was not captain because I was a star. I was captain because I had a good work ethic, and I was very mature for my age.
Were you really?
Yeah, yeah, I was smarter than all them dummies.
Oh, don't
Seriously,
be calling people
they would just
dummies.
be doing stupid stuff. Like I'd be like, "Why are you going out and getting drunk every night? Like you gonna die in a car crash? Like seriously,
Well, they
So
was kicking it, having fun.
yeah, okay. Now you're kicking it in prison.
They're
But
not in. Okay, just because you drink
well,
don't mean you're
I
gonna be
got
in
shoot,
prison.
girl, please. I got friends. When you're a black man, you gotta be careful. Because I got friends in jail, friends that got killed, friends that are on dope, So,
Good
so
grief!
you
What's
got
up with your friends? I don't
well,
have my friends living their best life.
yeah, being a black man is tough. I mean, so I think that some of what I mean, like I think overall,
Hmm.
Colin Kaepernick represents more good than bad, right? I really agree. I think I would love to coach
Okay.
him.
Yes, that's what I was
Hold
gonna
on, wait,
say.
wait, wait. You cut me off.
Uh-huh.
Hold on. I would love to coach him on how to take your blackness to the next level. Like every time you find that the white man has built a barrier to you, how do you get around that barrier?
Mm.
And do it in a way where your sacrifice doesn't just benefit Colin Kaepernick, right? Colin's gonna be fine. Colin in the NFL, that was pretty much just a labor dispute. He was pissed off because they took his job. And
Yeah.
so he goes and he's protesting to say they took my job, and people say we're going to boycott the NFL because we want you to give Colin Kaepernick back his job. Well, Colin Kaepernick getting his job back doesn't do a whole lot for the black community. Now, Colin Kaepernick leaving his job and starting a professional sports league with with his celebrity friends. Now
That's
that impacts the
something.
black community, yes. Or
Yes.
Colin Kaepernick saying, convincing Nike to give him, a $300 million fund to build black-owned schools run by black people with no strings attached all across the United States. That benefits
That would
thousands
be
of black people,
great.
right? Or Colin Kaepernick
Mm-hmm.
forcing Nike to give him millions of dollars, like $300-400 million, to make loans to black-owned businesses, right?
That would be
Again,
nice.
and the key idea though, it has to be done with no strings attached, because typically when the white man gives out his money, he tells you what to do with that money. He
Mm-hmm.
influences you with his
Mm-hmm.
economic power. He does it all around the world, and that's why black people are under so much oppression. Is because,
Yeah, because it's like you got to get on our agenda.
right,
And if you do not help push our agenda ahead, then goodbye to you. We're
right,
on to the next one.
right.
Yeah.
So to me, the $1 million question of whether or not you're
Can't be
free,
hating on them.
but right. So
Mm-hmm.
here's the thing, right? The $1 million question of whether or not you're a free black man or black woman, one of the $1 million questions could be: could you take the money that you have and write a check for $10 million to the Nation of Islam and not have white people cancel you? If you could do that
Mm-hmm.
and still keep it moving, then that to me is a free black man.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Because we know that you might not agree with everything with the Nation of Islam or whatever, but we know that black people love Farrakhan and the Nation.
And respect them.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Even the people that don't like them respect them. White people can't stand them. White people mislabel them as a
And we're
hate group.
confused. Like, what do you mean?
Right. Right. Oh, Farrakhan's out killing
What?
people. He's
We
dangerous.
ain't doing
What are you
nothing.
talking about? No,
Y'all
you're
kill more people than
right. You're dangerous. No, your
yeah.
OxyContin is dangerous. Your big pharma is dangerous. Like, your greasy ass food is dangerous. That kills black
Your
people.
GMO.
Farrakhan ain't killed nobody. Like, so stop it. Seriously. So here's the thing. My point is to say that's one of the litmus tests you can use to say,
Mm-hmm.
do you truly have, because I speak positively about the nation all day, every day. I had brothers, I had Riza Islam at the convention. I know he's on the FBI CIA watch list. I did not give a shit. Nuri Muhammad was up there. Nuri Muhammad is a high-ranking official. He's on. I think he might be on the no-fly list or something like that. So they don't like him either. I did not care,
It doesn't
right?
seem like they care. They have big smiles on their face.
They didn't. We had a great time.
Right?
We had a great time because those are good people.
Yeah, they
Those
were.
are good people, and
Yeah.
it's only sort of that weirdness of America that takes good black people and somehow morphs them into bad black people.
Well,
You
it's
know.
okay because we see them. We see you. We see you, Nuri. We see you. We see you as you are, and
Hmm.
we accept you.
Yeah.
And that's why he had a smile on his face. He could care less
Yeah. But
about a no-fly list or
yeah, you
whatever
name
he's
all
on.
you name all those brothers I named:
Yeah.
Nuri, Rizza, Farrakhan. I have spent a significant amount of time
Mm-hmm.
with all those brothers, and whether you disagree with them or not, you know, those are good people.
They really
But
are.
they are. I mean, they are. They greet you with a smile. They're very friendly, very helpful, very supportive, and so I think I use the Nation of Islam as a litmus test,
Right. Right.
because you can go to a lot of college campuses though, where the black people have been trained to consider the Nation of Islam to be a hate group. And that to me is a result of the brainwashing and the indoctrination. I told you when I spoke at University of California, Long Beach with Farrakhan, and the black students had been brought in to protest. They
Mm-hmm.
they chose to come in and protest Farrakhan, by disrespecting him. They all came in and took a seat and then got up and walked out in the middle of his speech. And to me, I found that to be interesting because what occurs is that a lot of times I think the reason we're not liberated is because the path that we think will lead to our liberation is actually leading to our incarceration psychologically. You think you're hustling forward, but really you're hustling backward. And that's why your community has not made any progress in the last 60 years, despite the fact that you got more educated black people than ever, despite the fact that you got more black politicians than ever, despite the fact that you got, all these Black Lives Matter and everything else popping off. Where's the progress? You ain't getting no progress. So I think that we don't. In order to make progress, you got to know what progress looks like. Period. What do you think, babe?
Gotcha. Yeah, makes sense to me. Yeah. You ready for our race tomorrow? I'm thinking
Yeah.
about this 9 miles, 15K tomorrow,
Oh my
boys.
God. She talked me into doing 15K.
I did not talk you into it. I just said, do you want to do it? Yes or no? And you said yes.
Yeah, I'm gonna do it. Well, I'll do anything for you.
You don't have to do it for me.
Well, you talked me into it.
My love for you is not dependent on whether you do a 15K.
It's like what Belle Biv DeVoe said. Never trust a big button to smile. And you had
I'm
both.
poison. Is
You
that
are.
what you calling
You
me?
might be.
Oh my gosh. No. You gonna blame me. All I did was ask a question. You could have denied. You could
Poison.
have said no.
Poison. Poison. Oh my God. Okay. Yeah. So
We gotta get to bed too.
we do. We do. We do.
No, I mean I agree with you, boys. It just makes sense. We'll see what the rest of this documentary goes. I mean, it seems like it's going through his development, his stages of development, and I want to see what the second half is going to be. Will give us.
Yeah, I think Cap is does more good than harm, right?
Yeah.
And I think the Cap.
It took courage
I think the
for him to
documentary
do
is
that.
worth watching. Yeah, and I think it took courage. I look forward to seeing the next step of his evolution. Right, like I think that now that people are understanding things like wealth, etc., you're starting to incorporate that into our Black civil rights movements. And what I encourage people to also do is make sure that when you're talking about liberating Black people in America, you're not over borrowing ideologies from other people that have used Black people as political pawns, right? Like Republican Democrat stuff, getting too caught up in that, you're just being used. The Republicans use you, the Democrats use you. If you talk about even Marxism, the fact that the Black Lives Matter leadership were a group of trained Marxists. Marxism is not the same as what we are going through as Black people in our struggle, right? Black leadership does not have to come, as Marxism in blackface or capitalism in blackface, right? It needs to come with Blackness in a blackface. And so, because when you start telling me that all rich people are evil, which that's kind of, unfortunately, that's the way the Marxist message gets sort of warped sometimes, is that, that businesses are bad and wealthy people are terrible. Well, then what happens is you run into what I call the Sean King dilemma. The Sean King dilemma was that the way people exposed him and ended up tearing him down is he and Patrisse Cullors, the head of Black Lives Matter, they spent a lot of time trying to do what they thought was good work on behalf of the Black community. And then next thing you know, white Republicans are calling them out because they live in a nice house. I don't believe that being Black and being powerful means you need to live in a raggedy house. There's nothing about being Black that says you got to be raggedy. There's nothing about being Black that says you got to be poor. Nothing about being Black that says that your life has to be miserable. You can be rich like Colin Kaepernick and have millions of dollars in the bank and still be the Blackest person in the room. So I personally think that as Black people, we've got to define our own movements, get in a room, figure out who the hell we want to be, and then tell the world who we are instead of allowing people to bring their prepackaged ideology and using Black people to push forward with their agenda. Because we always get thrown off the bus. We get put at the back of the bus, and then when the bus gets to the bus stop, they throw us off of it.
That's why B1, right? So, I mean, I think that with the capitalist system, it's just exploitation of workers. I think that's the biggest one. It's like the salaries are so suppressed.
Yeah.
And you just working in this factory and you're not even making enough money to feed your family and you're working every day hard every day and you see the people at the top like really eating good. I mean, that's going to create this Marxist sort of movement.
Yeah.
People are just sick of it. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I don't in any way defend the way capitalism is done in America. It's
Hmm.
getting worse every single generation. And Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos have become the Rockefeller and Carnegie of our time,
Yeah.
and it's not healthy. It's not good for America. But again, that's a little bit different in my view from what Black people are trying to do. You know, we're
Hmm.
not out here trying to conquer the whole world. We're just trying to maintain our sovereignty, which means that
Hmm.
we have our own space where we get to make the decisions. Again, Black Core 3: educate our own children, create our own jobs, support Black businesses. If you start with those three things, then you can get 80% of what you need as Black people. All right,
Hmm.
guys. Well, we're about to get out of here. Hit the thumbs up button, share, subscribe button. My Instagram is the real Boyce Watkins. Some of you are asking where you can get some of those cool T-shirts I showed you, or I showed you
Which
my
one?
this one right here, where I actually that was one I made.
Did you make that one?
Yeah, because I was like
Oh
I'm not.
my
Yeah,
goodness.
I'd have Democrats accusing me of being a Republican and Republicans accusing me of being a Democrat, and I basically let them all know, like, no, I vote for the Black Party. That's
It's
it.
so funny. You know, when you wear that shirt in public, white people
Mhm.
just look at you like, mm.
Yeah,
Have you noticed?
no, I haven't. I don't
Okay, I've
care.
noticed.
Yeah, I don't even. I just don't care.
Yeah.
I don't even care enough about what other people
Not
think
even
too.
just white, just people in general.
Yeah,
They
they
just
don't.
kind of give you a side. They like
Right,
they turn their head to the side, like, huh?
right. But my people get
Yeah.
it, and that's all that matters to me.
No, I mean, I think people
Mm.
do get it. Is
Mm.
what I'm saying.
Oh, you
But
think
I
they
just
get it?
think
Okay,
they're like, okay,
a little bit thrown off.
yeah.
True that.
The
I can see
nerve
that.
of you boys.
No, the nerve of a
The
Black
nerve
man to
of you.
actually have his own mind. Oh my God. Yeah. So anyway,
Yeah.
wokeblacktees.com. That's where you can actually get a shirt like that if you want to. We have a bunch of smart alecky shirts. Just go take a look at the page, and if you're a smart aleck like me, you probably enjoy the shirts. All right, guys, we're about to go, and also I'll mention Alicia's website and her Instagram is coaching with Dr. Alicia. So feel free to go to coachingwithdralicia.com if you want to see more about Alicia. All right, guys, please hit the thumbs up, share, subscribe button. I'm out of here, guys. We will talk to you later. See you
Okay.
soon.
Goodbye, everyone.